Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today. We have a lot to cover. Here she is, the one and only Miss Sarah
Oh
Fraser.
my God. The one and only David Yontef. David, I love you. And you've been furiously texting me all week long that you have exclusive scoop
Well,
about,
listen,
I can't wait. You tell me where you want to start, but I thought this announcement was so curious. I thought this was very interesting about Housewives of New York. I want to know all your thoughts.
there is so much going on. First of all, believe it or not, before we get to that,
Okay. Well,
I want to talk about, so you and I did a recent show where somehow it was unplanned at the end of the show. I don't even know how we got on the topic. We started talking about Jill Zarin.
yes, like you went into great detail about basically your falling out, right? The two of you had at the time.
I did. And then I titled that episode with Jill Zarin, Our Falling Out, something to that effect. But Jill Zarin's name was in the title. And, listen, I don't backtrack on anything I said that has happened. However, I would like to I believe, like, I want to say some things that have happened since. And I actually want to issue an apology to Jill Zarin.
What? Okay, why? What happened? What happened?
Here's the deal. Okay.
David, I think this is the only apology I've ever heard you say. Okay, go on.
Listen, well, a couple of things. First of all, look. Well, Jill called me. Let's start with the fact that my phone rang and it was Jill Zarin. Let's just start with that fact.
Okay, did it come up as Jill or you had no idea who the number? Because I always think that's interesting because it's always like I really try to avoid conflict on the phone, but I always fucking answer. And it's always like, oh, what am I doing?
That is such a good question. The truth of the matter is, Jill thought it came up as Jill. It actually came up. I do have Jill saved in my phone now, but when I answered the phone, I honestly and truly had no idea it was Jill Zarin. I swear to God, because I didn't save her. I saved her in my phone, but then after this falling out, I took her out of my phone. I now put her back in my phone. So when the phone rang, but during our call, Jill is like, "Oh, I'm shocked you picked up," or whatever. But I really didn't know it was her. But it was a 917 or 646. Let's not give out Jill's number, but it was a New York number, and I was literally about to go on air with somebody. So I literally, first of all, this could not have come at a worse time, Jill Zarin. It was like I had to record in the morning Jorge Garcia from Lost, who just got voted off of The Masked Singer, and every 800 executives from Fox were going to be on the freaking show. And then after that, I was doing someone from SNL. It was like the day from hell. And I was just like, a New York number, like this could be so many different things. So I picked up and it was Jill. Now, before we get to the apology, we're going to get to the apology. Listen, I've said this before, and I will say it again. It's not like a threat. It's just, as a lawyer, I am a lawyer. Lawyers are a certain breed, and like they are. You can't come at me. I'm not afraid of you. I don't care who you are.
You know the law. You're not intimidated. And
I will see red, and I have those fighting skills. And if you come at me and draw a line, I will not back down. I will come out and I will fucking hate you and I will call you a bitch. And I'm not, and it's just, I will do what I need to do. So that is if you come at me. Short of that, I am a nice, reasonable person and I don't look for problems. And so what happens, which is what I described, and then there's lots of DMs, you get Jill, and good for you, fuck her, and all this other stuff. And, listen, that's not really first of all, that's not the show that I have here. My show is an interview show. You and I talk once a week, but it really is an interview show where I interview these people. I don't want to nor have that type of like slinging mud show. I really didn't want it. There are podcasts out there. I saw Jill's name in another podcast today, a title that this person's never even spoken to her. They're saying Jill isn't returning to RHONY. I know exactly what they're talking about. And they're misconstruing a quote from Andy. That's not true at all. Look at me here sticking up for Jill. But like, the thing is, I don't like, listen, it's not like she called and I'm scared of her. I don't want a gossipy, slinging mud, That's just not me. It's not who I am as a person. It's not my brand. But I was pissed at Jill for this because she came at me, which is, but how could you not respect someone calling you to basically she said, I understand you just called me a bitch. That's how the conversation started.
So she listened to the podcast episode and was obviously compelled enough. I mean, okay, wait, I need more detail though. So it starts out, she said, okay, I heard you called me a bitch, but obviously you must have been on her mind too. I mean, she obviously cares about your friendship enough to call you.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, that's where like you get me, so she might have been starting in with me. And then I did lose it on the phone with her because I was screaming at her. And then once I was done screaming, just like, why, like I could say what I want. It's the United States of America, at least for now, it's then when I calmed myself down and checked myself, it was like, just what you said. It's like, I mean, how respectful is that? Like you are calling me to address this. So I have to say, in like 1 minute, like now I've turned, like I'm a very reasonable person. Like it's a very respectable thing to me that you don't have to call me. You can now go and say whatever about me, or just not even listen. I don't have a big ego. Like I don't, Jill Zarin is famous. She's like, I'm not comparing myself to Jill. Like just because she did listen, because she said, well, and you're also saying you get more press than me, which is true. Good for you. Like she definitely listened to my rant with you. So, but like, that's not me. I don't have that ego. Like, look at me. I really don't. And so I just want to do the work, which is this job. And I'm making a good living doing this. And my living is not to trash people so when she called me to work this out, that how respectable is that? The phone is ringing and she's like, look, I don't want an enemy. And that's all you need to say to me. That's it. That's all you got to say, guys, to like be flushed. Really, I don't need to rehash what happened. What happened doesn't matter. It's like you're calling me and like we're both in this business in different aspects. And it's, to me, I'm like, wow, this is respectable, because I just did fucking call you a bitch and tell you to go fuck yourself and talk about, fuck you. And I don't know. I don't think I would pick up the phone and call somebody after they did this to me necessarily. So I respect it. I do. I really respect it. And then to that, the apology is just in that, like, I don't know, shame on me. Maybe I should have picked up the phone and called her a year and a half ago when I was fucking pissed off and we had this thing. Let's not get into the past year and a half and things I've heard that were said. That doesn't matter. It's like you're calling and you really don't want enemies. She said, I don't want enemies. And I don't really want enemies. And like,
okay, so wait. Do you think the motive for this call, right? And motive isn't really the right word, but do you think it's truly about she doesn't want enemies, or do you think she is making a genuine play to come back at television and, because we obviously know we're going to get into this Real Housewives of New York recasting, and she wants as many influential people as she can on her side? Like what? Because this is the turn of, that was the